Welcome, learners. Today it's our second lecture of Nebosh free training. In today's training, we will cover following topics: definition of health, and I will explain you with examples about health. Then we will discuss actually what is safety, and we will understand the concept with some examples. In the third point, we will cover what are the welfare facilities in an organization. Then we will discuss explanation of the moral reasons for managing health and safety. Coming next, we will discuss what are the financial reasons for managing health and safety. We will explain with examples. Then we will discuss what are the insured and uninsured costs which are faced by the organization if it does not manage health and safety. Health, actually, in the context of workplace health and safety, refers to the absence of disease or ill health. It encompasses both physical and psychological well-being. Here are a few examples to illustrate the concept of health. Exposure to asbestos in the workplace can pose a health risk. Inhaling asbestos dust can lead to the development of lung cancers or other respiratory diseases later in life. Prolonged exposure to excessive noise levels in the workplace can have detrimental effects on hearing health. Workers in industries such as constructions or manufacturing may be at risk of developing noise-induced hearing loss if proper hearing protection is not used. Working in a high-stress environment without adequate support or resources can impact mental health. Chronic exposure to extreme stress can lead to conditions such as anxiety, depression, or burnout. Poor ergonomics. I will explain you here what ergonomics is. Basically, ergonomics is about designing things in a way that is comfortable and safe for people to use. It focuses on how our bodies interact with the things around us, like chairs, desks, or tools. When it comes to repetitive tasks, it means doing the same activity over and over again. These tasks can put strain on our bodies and cause discomforts or injury. So ergonomics helps us find ways to make repetitive tasks easier on our bodies, like using tools or adjusting our posture to reduce stress. For example, think about using a computer mouse for a long time. If the mouse is too big or too small, or if it's positioned incorrectly, it can make your hand and wrist feel tired or sore. By considering ergonomics, you can use a mouse that fits well with your hand and is placed in a way that keeps your wrist in a more natural position, reducing the strain on your body. In short, ergonomics is about designing things to be safe and comfortable for our bodies. And when it comes to repetitive tasks, it helps us find ways to do those tasks without causing strain or discomfort. And repetitive tasks can contribute to the musculoskeletal disorders, for example, improper lifting techniques or prolonged sitting without ergonomic adjustments can lead to back pain, strain, or carpal tunnel syndrome. Exposure to harmful chemicals or substances without proper safety measures can result in occupational disease. For example, prolonged exposure to toxic fumes or substances without appropriate respiratory protection can lead to respiratory illness or chemical poisoning. These are the examples which highlight the importance of creating a healthy work environment that addresses both physical and psychological well-being. By identifying and mitigating potential health hazards, employers can promote the overall health and well-being of their workers. Now, coming on to the explanation of safety. So, gentlemen, basically, safety as defined in the context of workplace health and safety refers to the absence of the risks of serious personal injury. It involves taking measures to prevent accidents, injuries, and harm to individuals in the workplace. Here are a few examples to illustrate the concept of safety. Working under a load suspended from a crane during a lifting operation is not safe because if the load falls, serious personal injury or death could result. Staying out of the dangerous area ensures safety. Operating machinery without proper training and safety precautions can pose a safety risk. For instance, using a power tool without wearing appropriate personal protective equipment such as safety goggles, gloves, and ear protection can lead to injuries. Workers working at height without proper fall protection measures is unsafe. For example, not using a safety harness or guardrails when working on a roof or elevated platform increases the risk of falling and sustaining serious injuries. Handling hazardous substances without following proper safety protocols can be unsafe. For instance, not wearing chemical-resistant gloves and goggles when working with corrosive chemicals can result in chemical burns or eye injuries. Ignoring fire safety measures such as not maintaining fire extinguishers or obstructing fire exit can jeopardize the safety of individuals in the workplace in the event of a fire. So, gentlemen, these are the examples which highlight the importance of identifying and mitigating potential risks to ensure a safe working environment for everyone involved. Now, we discuss the welfare facilities at the organizations. These are very important because they have direct connection with the occupational health and safety of any organization. So, welfare facilities in an organization refer to basic facilities that are provided to workers to ensure their well-being and comfort while at work. These facilities are essential for maintaining a healthy and safe working environment. Here are some examples of welfare facilities. Toilet facilities, adequate and clean toilet facilities should be provided for workers to use during their work hours. Hand wash stations, hand washing facilities with soap and water or hand sanitizers should be available to promote good hygiene practices. Changing rooms, workers who need to change into work clothes or uniforms should have access to clean and private changing rooms. Restrooms, rest areas or break rooms should be provided for workers to take breaks and rest during their working hours. Places to prepare and eat food. These are important that workers should have access to clean and hygienic areas to prepare and eat their meals. Drinking water. Clean and safe drinking water should be available to workers at all times. Basic first aid prevention. First aid kits and trained personnel should be available to provide basic medical assistance in case of injuries or illness. So, gentlemen, providing welfare facilities is not only a legal requirement in many countries, but also an ethical responsibility of employers to ensure the well-being and comfort of their worker. Now, coming on to the next part, we are going to discuss here the moral reasons for managing health and safety. Basically, the moral reasons for managing health and safety at work relate to the moral duty that one person has to another. The harm caused by work-related accidents, injuries, and illness is morally unacceptable. And society as a whole demands that people are safe while at work. Employers have a moral responsibility to provide safe and healthy working conditions for their employees. In simple terms, the moral reason can be summarized as it's the right thing to do. The suffering caused by poor health and safety management is morally unacceptable. And it is the responsibility of employers to ensure that their workers are not exposed to unnecessary risks. Moral reasons at work are based on the ethical obligations to protect the well-being and lives of the individuals in the workplace. These reasons stem from the belief that it is morally unacceptable for people to be harmed or suffer as a result of their work. The moral reasons can be summarized as follows. You can put these moral reasons as moral. First one is moral duty. There is a moral duty that one person has to another to ensure their safety and well-being. It is considered morally wrong to expose individuals to unnecessary risks or hazards in workplace. The second reason is humanitarian concern. The suffering and harm caused by work-related accidents, injuries, and illnesses are more morally unacceptable. It is morally right to prioritize the health and safety of workers and prevent unnecessary pain and suffering. Respect for human life is another reason for managing health and safety as a moral reason. So valuing and respecting human life is a fundamental moral principle. Managing health and safety at work demonstrates a commitment to preserving and protecting the lives of individuals. The fourth moral reason is social responsibility. Society as a whole demands that people are safe while at work. Employers have a moral responsibility to provide safe and healthy working conditions for their employees, as it is in the best interest of both the workers and the broader community. The moral reasons for managing health and safety at work emphasize the importance of valuing human life, preventing harm, and fulfilling our ethical obligation to ensure the well-being of individuals in the workplace. Here comes the data which is taken from the ILO. I am going to explain you that how serious the issues are. So the ILO is International Labour Organization, which is the United Nations organization and world's most authentic organization specifically for the occupational health and safety. This is that work-related fatal accidents, over 350,000 work-related fatal accidents are reported each year. Globally, approximately half of these fatal accidents occur in the agriculture sector only. Occupational accidents and diseases. Every year, there are over 270 million occupational accidents and 160 million occupational diseases recorded worldwide. Occupational disease deaths. Out of the 2.75 million people who die annually from occupational accidents and diseases, around 2.4 million deaths are attributable to occupational diseases. Economic impact. The cost of injury, death, absence, and other related factors amounts to approximately 4% of the world's gross domestic product, GDP, each year. So here comes what are the other consequences apart from the data you have seen? I have explained you what are the other consequences which are faced by the organization when some accidents happen. The data highlights the fact that the statistics provided regarding occupational accidents and diseases represents more than just numbers. Behind these statistics are real individuals who experience pain, suffering, and sometimes even tragic outcome due to inadequate health and safety management in the workplace. When health and safety is not managed properly, workers can be exposed to dangerous conditions that can result in severe injuries or even death. These accidents can occur in gruesome ways, causing immense physical and emotional suffering for the individuals involved. Additionally, occupational diseases can have long lasting and devastating effects on workers' health, impacting not only their own lives but also those of their dependents, families, friends, and colleagues. The statement emphasizes that this level of suffering is morally unacceptable. It highlights the importance of prioritizing and effectively managing health and safety in the workplace. Employers have a moral responsibility to provide safe and healthy working conditions for their employees, ensuring that they can earn a living without risking their well-being. By recognizing the human impact behind the statistics, it becomes clear that promoting and enforcing proper health and safety measures is not just a legal or financial obligation, but also a moral imperative. It is essential to prevent accidents, injuries, and diseases in order to protect the lives and well-being of the workers and their broader social networks. Now come on to the next topic, that actually who controls the workplace where you work, who is the main authority, and who has the main responsibility of managing health and safety of all the people who work in any organization. So workers go to work to produce goods and services for their employers. Employers have a moral duty to make sure that the workplace is safe and healthy. This means that workers should be able to do their jobs without getting hurt or becoming sick. It's like when you play a game with your friends, and the person who sets up the game has a responsibility to make sure the game is fair and no one gets hurt. So the employer is the main responsible person in all this game. In the same way, employers have a responsibility to create a safe and healthy environment for workers. This is not only the right thing to do, but it's also something that people expect and society demands. Because of this, there are laws that require employers to meet certain standards to protect workers. These laws are made to reflect the moral arguments that everyone should have the right to work in a safe and healthy environment. Now, we will discuss the financial reason for managing health and safety, the last topic. So, gentlemen, actually, the financial reasons for managing health and safety relates to the financial impact that accidents, workers, ill health, and property damage can have on an organization. When an accident or ill health occurs in the workplace, there are direct and indirect costs associated with that event. Here are some reasons for managing health and safety for financial costs. Number one, accidents, worker ill health, and property damage have financial implications for organizations. When these incidents occur, there are direct and indirect costs associated with them. Direct costs are the measurable costs that arise directly from the accident, such as medical expenses, worker sick pay, repairs, and replacement of the damaged equipment or building, and lost or damaged products. Indirect costs are the costs that arise indirectly as a consequence of the event. These costs can be more difficult to quantify precisely and may include factors such as lost production time, overtime to make up for the lost production, hiring and training new employees, and damage to the organization's reputations. Some of these costs can be insured against, but many cannot. It is important to recognize that not all financial losses resulting from accidents and ill health can be fully covered by insurance. Accidents and ill health can significantly impact an organization's financial resources and, in some cases, even lead to the closure of a business. This is a very important point. So this highlights the importance of effectively managing health and safety to prevent such incidents from occurring. The financial reasons for managing health and safety is sometimes referred to as a business case because it focuses on the financial impacts of accidents and ill health on an organization. Here, I will explain you what is the business case. So, gentlemen, a business case is like a detailed explanation that helps a company decide whether or not to do a certain project or idea. It is a document that talks about the good things, bad things, and risks that come with the project. The purpose of a business case is to give the people in charge the information they need to decide if the project is possible and if it will be valuable for the company. It's like the report that helps the company make smarter choices. Now, we will discuss the insured and uninsured costs. So, insured costs are the costs that can be covered by insurance policies. These are the expenses that an organization can claim from their insurance provider in the event of an accident or loss. Here are some examples of the insured costs. Number one, damage to property. Insurance coverage for damage to buildings, plant, equipment, or other physical assets caused by accidents and natural disasters or other covered events. Number two, compensation for injured workers. Insurance coverage for compensation payment to the workers who suffer injuries or illness as a result of workplace accidents. This can include medical expenses, lost wages, and rehabilitation costs. Number three, medical costs. Insurance coverage for medical expenses incurred for the treatment of the injured workers, including hospitalization, surgeries, medications, and rehabilitations. Number four, legal costs. Insurance covered for legal fees associated with defending against legal claims or laws related to workplace accidents such as personal injury claims or claims for property damage. Number five, production delays or downtime. Insurance coverage for financial losses resulting from production delays or downtime caused by accidents, including coverage for lost revenues or additional expenses incurred to mitigate the impact. It is important to note that specific coverage and limits of the insurance policy can vary. Organizations should review their insurance policies and consult with their insurance providers to understand the extent of coverage for different types of the incidents and losses. Additionally, not all costs associated with incidents may be insured, as some losses may be uninsured due to the various reasons mentioned in the project. So here I am going to discuss what are the uninsured costs. Uninsured costs are the costs that cannot be covered by insurance policies. These are the expenses that an organization has to bear on its own in the event of an accident or loss. Here are some examples of the uninsured costs. Loss of reputations, the negative impact on the organization's reputations and public perceptions, which can affect its brand value, customer perceptions, and relationship with stakeholders. This can lead to the loss of business and revenue. Loss of goodwill, the loss of customer trust, satisfaction, or loyalty due to negative publicity or concerns about the organization's commitment to health and safety. This can lead to a loss of business and revenue. Reduced employee morale, the negative impact on the morale and motivation of other employees who witness or hear about the accidents. This can lead to decreased productivity, increased absenteeism, or turnover. Cost of additional control measures. These expenses associated with implementing additional safety measures, such as installing safety barriers, upgrading equipment, or providing additional training to prevent similar incidents in the future. Fines and penalties. Penalties are fines imposed by regulatory authorities or courts as a result of non-compliance with health and safety regulations. These fines and penalties cannot be covered by insurance policies. Lost production time. The financial impact of downtime or reduced productivity caused by the incidents, including the time required to investigate and address the issue. Cost of recruiting and retraining additional employees. If an incident results in the need for the additional employees to cover the workload or replace injured workers, there will be cost associated with recruiting, hiring, training, and training new employees. So it is important to note that uninsured costs can vary depending on the specific incidents and its consequences. Organizations should assess their own uninsured costs based on their industry, operations, and potential impacts on various aspects of their businesses. The provided text also mentioned that uninsured losses are between 8 and 36 times greater than uninsured loss, and that many of the direct and indirect costs associated with workplace accident are uninsured. So now I am going to explain you the direct and indirect costs associated with the management of health and safety. So gentlemen, there is a financial loss when we do not manage health and safety in our workplaces. Some costs we can measure and some costs we cannot measure. So direct costs are measurable costs that arise directly from an incident or event. In the context of managing health and safety, direct costs are the financial expenses that result from accidents, worker ill health, or property damage. Here, I am going to explain you with some examples. Number one, medical expenses. These costs associated with providing first aid treatment, emergency medical care, hospitalization, surgeries, medications, and rehabilitation for injured workers. So they are the direct costs when an accident happens. Worker sick pay, the second direct cost. Payments made to the workers who are unable to work due to injuries or illness caused by the workplace incidents. Number three, repairs and replacements. Costs incurred to repair or replace damaged equipment, machinery, tools, or infrastructure resulting from accidents or incidents. Number four is lost or damaged product. Financial losses due to the destruction, spoilage, or contamination of the products or materials as a result of accidents or incidents. Number five is lost production time. The financial impact of the downtime or reduced productivity caused by the accidents or incidents, including the time required to investigate and address the issue. Number six is overtime cover for the injured person. Additional costs associated with hiring temporary workers or paying overtime to cover the workload of an injured employee. Fines in criminal courts. penalties or fines imposed by regulatory authorities or courts as a result of non-compliance with health and safety regulations. Number 8 is compensation payment to victims. Financial settlements or compensation paid to injured workers or victims of the workplace accidents, including medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. So these are the costs which are the direct consequence of any accidents. So these have to face by the organization. No, that's why it is important to note that these examples may vary depending on the specific circumstances and industry. Organizations should assess their own direct costs based on their operations and the potential risks they face. Now, coming on to the indirect costs. So, indirect costs are the costs that result as a consequence of an incident or event. Unlike direct costs, which are measurable and directly linked to the incident, the indirect costs are often more difficult to quantify precisely and may be harder to identify. Here are some examples of indirect costs related to managing health and safety. Number 1, investigation time. You cannot face this direct cost. It will be indirect cost. The time and the resources spent on investigating the incident, identifying its causes, and implementing corrective actions to prevent recurrence. Number 2, lost employee morale. The negative impact on the morale and motivations of other employees who witness or hear about the incident. This can lead to decreased productivity, increased absenteeism, or turnover. Number 3 is cost of the additional control measures. The expenses associated with implementing additional safety measures, such as installing safety barriers, upgrading equipment, or providing additional training to prevent similar incidents in the future. Compliance with enforcement notices. The cost incurred to comply with enforcement notices issued by the regulatory authorities, which may involve making changes to work processes, equipment, or facilities. Cost of recruiting and retraining additional employees. If an incident results in the need for additional employees to cover the workload or replace injured workers, there will be costs associated with these recruiting, hiring, and training new employees. These are the indirect costs. Damaged customer relationship. The potential loss of customer trust, satisfaction, or loyalty due to negative publicity or concern about the organization's commitment to health and safety. Then comes the damaged public image. The impact on the organization's reputation and public perceptions, which can affect its brand value, customer perception, and relationship with stakeholders. So it is important to note that indirect costs can vary depending on the specific incidents and its consequences. Organizations should assess their own indirect costs based on their industry, operations, and potential impacts on various aspects of their business. So here I have explained you in detail all the topics related with the financial reasons for managing health and safety. There may be many costs involved when some accidents happen. There may be some insured costs, some uninsured costs. There may be some direct costs and some indirect costs. I have explained each and everything with examples to all of you. So here comes the gentleman, the end of today's lecture number 2 for your Nebosh online training for this on this YouTube channel. Inshallah, we will meet in the next lecture with you soon, the lecture number 3, very soon. Thank you and take care.